Check out FlipsideGaming.com for all your gaming needs. Use the promo code HEROES to save 10% on all orders over $10 and support the channel at the same time. Hey there, this is John from Heroes and Legends, and today we're going to do a little bit of speculation. We're going to talk about Masters 25, and I'm going to go through 50 cards that I think we might see in the set that at least have a chance of making it into this new set coming out next month. Now, beginning on Monday, we get official previews, so we'll get to know pretty quick if I'm right about any of these, and we'll be covering those on the channel, so stay tuned all next week for updates as to what cards have been and are being revealed. Now, quickly before we get started, though, with my 50, just a really fast reminder, if you check out the description below, you'll find a few ways to help support what we do here, one of which is Patreon. Also, you'll find some product links for Amazon if you make any purchases on Amazon, whether it's Masters 25 or anything. Once you go through that first link, we'll get a small percentage for the channel. And then finally, Flipside Gaming, of course, still offering a promo code so you can save some cash. And when you use that promo code, that supports us as well. They actually have a pretty good deal on Masters 25 there if you use the promo code, so check that out. And all of those ways, always appreciated. With that being said, let's get into it. All right, there it is, Masters 25. Now, we know a few of the cards. Jace the Mind Sculptor, of course, will be there as a mythic. Azusa Lost But Seeking will be in there as rare, so they won't be on our list today. When I was making the list, I tried to keep nostalgia in mind. Actually, Wizards put out an amazing article today about their thoughts on Master sets in general and what they were looking for this Master set. One of the things that came out of that article was the fact that they are truly focused on nostalgia and feelings of nostalgia for this set. So I tried to keep that in mind with my picks. I also tried to steer clear of anything that was reprinted maybe within the last year or so, like things from Modern Masters 2017. Not to say they couldn't be in the set. There's no reason that they couldn't put them in there, like even a Tarmogoyf or something. But I do think they're going to try to give us something different to sell this set as something unique. And even cards that they did promos of in the last year or so. One big notable one might be Noble Hierarch. That is a PTQ promo. Desperately needs a reprint. I really hope it's in the set, but I didn't choose it for that reason. So with that being said, let's get into my cards that I chose. A little bit of wishful thinking in here, but also hopefully a strong nostalgia theme. And we're going to begin with 3 rares from White. Containment Priest Commander 2014. This is a $13.93 card currently. I would love to see this thing get a reprint, even if it's a master set. I know it's not going to show up probably in a standard set anytime soon, but even in a master set, just getting more copies out there would be nice. Really awesome sideboard card against reanimation strategies. And I feel like if they want to do some light reanimation in this environment for Draft and Sealed, this would be a good card to counteract that a little bit. The next card also fits into that criteria. Rest in Peace, $7.98 from Return to Ravnica. This would be an awesome card to just get another copy out there because it does show up in a lot of sideboards. And it's funny because nowadays, whenever you see Graveyard Hate, one of the first things you think of when it comes out in a new set, for example, is, well, is this better than Rest in Peace? And the answer is usually no. So this is kind of the gold standard that we look at when we measure Graveyard Hate, and it would be nice to get this one out there in more quantities. Thalia, Guardian of Thraben, $19.57 from Dark Ascension. And yes, this did get a promo, but I'm not really too focused in this video on promos or masterpieces and such because they don't really add enough quantity to make an impact on the market or that much of an impact. So yeah, you know what, Thalia, I'd love to see this card reprinted. It gets a lot of play in a few different decks and various formats at this point. And it's not cheap. Reaching that $20 mark would be cool to see it. All right, you know Blue is always going to bring some big entries, and let's start things off with some card selection. I mean, one of the things Blue has done the best over the years, so I definitely want to pick out some nostalgic entries in this category. And I think we did with Brainstorm, $1.20. This card's been reprinted a lot of times. I mean, it's been a common and uncommon in the past. It was in Eternal Masters. That version will run you $1.12, even with all the copies that have been printed over the years. So I wouldn't mind seeing it again. And it is a good card sometimes in your limited environments. Like a lot of times it doesn't do a lot, but in conjunction with certain cards, it can be quite good. Especially things like fetch lands or something like that. We'll talk more about that later. Ponder, $2.13, Magic 2012 version of the card. It would be nice to get this one out there again. Very powerful card. And maybe they could do the Merfolk art and bring that one back, considering we're thinking about Merfolk right now, thanks to the Ixalan block. Preordained, $3.97, big popper card here. Now, this is the Magic 2011 version. There's been some supplemental product versions over the years, too. But you know what? A card that sees a lot of play in Pauper, but also Vintage and Legacy. Wouldn't mind seeing the card show up again, definitely. Counterspell. What's more iconic and nostalgic than Counterspell, the original? $1.83 for that Eternal Masters version. What I like about this too for the limited game is if you have some powerful cards or powerful combos, which I hope to see in this set, which we typically do see in Master sets, this is a nice way to kind of stop those for only 2 mana. And if you have 2 blue up, your opponent's got to think about their big play. They can't go in for the kill necessarily if you're holding that mana back. They have to think and be a little more cerebral. And because of that, Counterspell will lead to some of the limited games maybe being more interesting if you have powerful cards. So I think it would fit in well there. Remand's another card that could use a reprint. The Modern Masters 2015 version going for $5.74. It was uncommon there, and so it'd be nice to see it uncommon in this set as well. Axiom Probe. Okay, maybe this one's wishful thinking on my part, but I'm hoping we see some of the Phyrexian mana cards in this set, even if it's just in a couple colors. And this is one of the key ones at $1.80. Also, Phyrexian Mana was a very memorable and nostalgic part of the Scars of Mirrodin block, just generally. Definitely the new Phyrexia set. So it would be nice to have it. And also, we know Phyrexian Obliterator is going to be in the set, which is a very strong Mono Black Devotion card. So maybe we're getting a Mono Black Devotion theme in this set. And if we are, considering that might be hard to pull off in Draft and definitely in Sealed, they may think of some ways to make that more forgiving. And having cards that you could still cast outside of black by paying life would be one of the ways to do that. So maybe this is the opportunity to see some of these cards. Couple others here, and we have Phyrexian Metamorph, another one for new Phyrexia, $1.09. Again, going with that Phyrexian mana theme, and a very powerful card that could use a reprint. And speaking of which, true name, Nemesis, $30 right now. This was, of course, from a Commander product, and I'd love to see this card reprinted. It's basically in a few decks, but it's very good in those decks, and because of that, it has a pretty nice price point attached to it. Force of Will. So would they do it? Would they give us Force of Will again with that Therese Nielsen art? Well, right now, that version from Eternal Masters is $83.77. It would be kind of nice to have. The big question is, how much value would Wizards consider too much value in this set? Because they are walking a line, and like it or not, they don't want to have too little value. That's horrible, because you're paying $10 a pack for these things. You want to make sure you get your value. But if they have too much value, that's when the price gouging starts. And that's not good for the players either. So where's the middle ground, right? And they have to be careful. And that's why you're not going to see me picking a lot of really expensive cards, even though I'd love to see like Imperial Seal, Imperial Recruiter, a whole bunch of cards like that in here. Mana Drain again, why not? But I don't think they will do that, because they do have to be a little bit cognizant of the value of the boxes, right? So with that being said, could they do Force of Will? I think they could. And what I'm basing this on is what they did with some of the early Modern Master sets. I mean, think of Modern Masters 2015. We got Tarmogoyf twice. We got Dark Confidant twice. We got Click twice. So what if we got Force of Will and Jace in Eternal Masters and then again here? It's possible. Will it happen? I guess we'll wait and see, but I think it's possible. All right, let's move on to black, and we're going nostalgic here with Dark Ritual. I think we have a good chance of seeing the card here. Super nostalgic card, and secondly, again, if they're going into Mono Black Devotion, this card completely makes sense for something you might need, even at common. So, again, this card would also make that archetype a little more forgiving if you started to draft it, but ended up more in like a 2-color deck or something like that. You'll still be able to play that first pick, Phyrexian Obliterator, if you got Dark Ritual. Demonic Tutor, revised version, $29.99 right now. And of course, this was reprinted after this in supplemental products, but this could really use a reprinting nowadays, right? We saw a lot of really cool tutors in Eternal Masters, so it'd be nice to get this one. Like the original, the most iconic one, most, again, nostalgic one. Love to see this, and I think it has a chance here. And in a powerful enough limited environment, I think it's okay. If you have things like Counterspell to counter what you're grabbing with this or something like that, it still can be there, and I think still be all right. It's probably moves up to rare, maybe even mythic. I wouldn't be shocked if they put it in mythic. I mean, they put Vampiric Tutor in mythic, so this would probably be a mythic. But I think we have a chance. Vampire Hexmage. I really wanted to add this because I do think there's going to be some powerful Planeswalkers. We already know about Jace. I'm speculating on a couple more in a few moments. So it'd be kind of nice to have this as a way to counteract those. All right, let's talk about removal, something Black loves to do. Diabolic Edict. Very iconic card, not super expensive necessarily, but like, kind of like the original Edict, and people think of this card when they think of a lot of the modern cards they make today, so why not throw it in there? Dismember, another new Phyrexia card, also can deal with some very large creatures that could come down early in this format with like Dark Ritual or something like that. And here's the big one for me. Oubliettes. I'd love to see this thing reprinted. 46.25 right now. And if we're talking Mono Black Devotion, this would be the perfect removal for that deck by not only taking a threat off the board, but giving you 2 black mana symbols on the battlefield. That's actually super sweet. I think if there was ever a chance that we get this card, it's probably this set. Because again, it scratches the itch of nostalgia. And Arabian Nights, I mean, so many cards there are awesome, but so many are on the reserve list. So really, what are you going to pick? Oubliettes a good pick. It's a card that people want, people play with in Pauper, and it's just a really fun, interesting card. We'll wrap up Black with Surgical Extraction, again, going with the new Phyrexia theme, 1976 here, and it's just a really cool card that could use a reprint. We saw it in Modern Masters 2015, and as a matter of fact, the older version will even cost slightly more than this one, so it'd be nice to get another copy. All right, let's move on to red. I got some interesting picks here in red. The first one, you might be scratching your head. Hurloon Minotaur. What? Why would he pick Hurloon Minotaur? Well, if you played Magic back in the day, like 93, 94, maybe even into 95, for whatever reasons, Wizards was obsessed with Hurloon Minotaur. Like, they really thought this was one of the iconic creatures of Magic. They put it up there with Sarah Angel, Sanger Vampire. Like, they felt like this was one of their key cards. You'll find this on booster boxes back in the day. It was on t-shirts. They were all in on Hurloon Minotaur. It was in their ad campaigns. So the card itself isn't that exciting, and players never really got that behind the card because the actual playability was low compared to so many others. It's just a curve filler. It's not even a particularly good curve filler for 2 red and 1. You almost would expect it to be like maybe First Strike or something for that cost, but there it is. I think, though, it does scratch the nostalgia itch, even if it's an inside joke with them. Shivan Dragon. Very iconic, of course. Now, in Iconic Masters, we got Sarah Angel, but we did not get Shivan Dragon, so I kind of think they were saving it for this set. Simian Spirit Guide, please give us this reprint. I mean, this card is super sweet, and it's a common that will run you $5, $6 at this point for that Planar Chaos version. Let's just get another version of this card out there. Young Pyromancer, $1.19 for the Eternal Masters version of this card. And again, if you're going to have a lot of cheap spells, this is a nice complement, I think, for red in your limited game a lot of the time. Green, Ancient Stirrings. You know, Tron decks are very popular. This is another common that desperately could use a reprint. $3.57 for the Rise of the Eldrazi right now. And yeah, I hope we see this one finally. And I threw Elvish Spirit Guide in there too, since we had the Simian one. So, hey, why not throw in a second one? Okay, for hybrid cards, I went with Deathrite Shaman. Again, this was an Eternal Masters, and this was also from Return to Ravnica, which maybe Return to Ravnica potentially could have been the most open Magic set of all time, and they don't release those numbers, but I have a hunch it probably was. So there's still a lot of copies of this thing out there, but even so, and even considering it's banned in Modern, the thing's still pushing $4 or $5. If this ever did get unbanned in Modern, I mean, I don't know if it would, because it is very powerful, but if it ever did, then wow, this card would spike pretty nicely, I think. So it wouldn't hurt to have more copies out there. Fulminator Mage, great sideboard card a lot of times. 48-41, originally from Shadowmoor. Kind of the opposite story. Shadowmoor had one of the lower print runs of all of the Modern Era Magic sets. So some of those cards tend to spike. This one was very good. Even got reprinted in Modern Masters 2015. Still expensive. Nicol Bolas, the original. $3.56 if you're going for the Time Spiral version of the card. If you want the original Legends version, you're paying over $100 nowadays, which is insane to think. But the card, I think, gets included just for its nostalgic benefits. It's still a cool card. I mean, you can still play this on the battlefield limited and help put away a game with it. It's still great. But it's really going to be there because it's Nicol Bolas, and it's just a very unique, old-timey card now. All right, here's one of my Planeswalkers I picked. Karn Liberated, 7280. Tron is huge. Please give us more Karns. The end. I don't know what else to say about this. I mean, also, too, from a nostalgia point of view, yes, it's new Phyrexia again, but also Karn is a character from the past of Magic, so it does kind of cover 2 eras in a way. And yeah, you know what? The Modern Masters 2015 version is expensive. The new Phyrexia version is really expensive. I mean, yeah, it's time. Let's just go ahead and get more of these out there. Ugin the Spirit Dragon. Here's my other one. 3348. I would like to see this reprinted in the art from the pre-release promo that you could get in some of those packs, if you remember that from Fate Reforged. That would be sweet. So it would just be something unique and different that would, kind of like they did with Azusa Lost But Seeking, giving us the Judge promo art, then hey, why not give us unique art for this one too? I think that would be really cool, actually. So maybe for that reason alone, this card makes it, just so they have another chance to show off that art, which a lot of people never have seen, actually. All right, artifacts. You can always pick some crazy artifacts. I went with a few interesting ones for the lower rarities here. Expedition Map, again, Tron really needs more of these. Not super expensive, but $3.25 for the Zendikar version. It'd be kind of nice if we got a reprint of that. Lotus Petal, and I know this was a masterpiece not too long ago, but like I said at the top of the show, I'm not too concerned with masterpieces for this video. For the most part, I think it would be nice just to have more copies of this out there for people. $7 for a common from Tempest, and again, a very iconic, nostalgic card. Feels like it might make it in here. Also, again, from a limited point of view, if you're kind of half in on that Black Devotion deck, this might be another card that's a little more forgiving that could allow you to take black mana if you need black mana, but perhaps something else if you're going with another color too. Tormod's Crypt. We always see Relic of Progenitus, but this is just kind of an older version of that style of card. Maybe not as good as Relic, but it's old-timey. I'd like to see it again. It's not expensive or anything like that, but if you're going to include something like that in the set, I feel like Crypt has a chance of getting there. All right, here's a few others. Hangerback Walker. Not expensive, $3.74, but definitely when you think of Magic Origins, once you get past like the Transformed Planeswalkers and such, you're probably thinking Hangerback Walker. So it is a very nostalgic card. So he's playing vintage. Phyrexian Revoker. Maybe I went a little heavy with Phyrexian stuff now that I'm seeing all these cards together. I'm not really sure why I did that. I don't think we'll see all of this stuff, but there's a lot of good cards from that era of Magic, and a lot of them need reprints. So this is another one. I mean, we saw it in Magic 2015. This is only $1.15, but again, another card that's nice to have out of sideboard sometimes in your limited game if you're playing against some powerful spells. And then the next three, I don't think we'll see all three of these, but these are all cards that could use a reprint. Maybe we see one of them. Sphere of Resistance, maybe the most likely candidate because it's the oldest card on the list, $19.60. But any of these, Thorn of Amethyst, Trinisphere, it would be nice to get any of these. I mean, they're still like $18.04 and $25, so very expensive cards here. All right, for all you Affinity fans out there, I had to pick some Affinity cards. Arcbound Ravager. We saw it in Modern Masters. I'd love to see it again. It's at $42.72. We could use a reprint. Mox Opal. Will we see it? I kind of think we have to see a Mox, right? And most of them are on the reserve list. So that kind of leaves this one and Chrome Mox for the most part, unless I'm forgetting something. But I think this is a much better choice than Chrome Mox. And I don't know. I mean, we'll see one of the two. But I hope it's Mox Opal. $67.75 for that most recent printing. Again, not counting the masterpiece. And then Steel Overseer, $15.98. Again, another card that had a masterpiece as well. And this one, again, we did get the original version of Magic 2011. And we did get another supplemental product version. But I'd like to see it again in another set. And if there's a good artifact theme in here, this would be the perfect card. All right, here we go. Chalice of the Void, $76. A lot of people want this reprinted. I mean, good modern card, but you could argue even better in Vintage and Legacy. This and the Meriden version have been sitting around $75 and $80 for a while now. It really just needs a reprint. If it's not here, then where, basically, right? I hope it shows up. Here's another one. Crucible of Worlds, where are you? We did get a reprint a long time ago, back in 10th edition, $64.14 for that version. The 5th Dawn version is very comparable. So where is this card? Yes, it does see a little bit of constructed play, but it's a huge casual favorite too. Great in cubes as well with some strategies. It does play well with certain lands that they could maybe sneak into this particular set as well. Speaking of lands, Rashad Import. Rashad Import's got to be here, right? Current value, $93.60. So starting to flirt with a expensive price point. But I don't know. If you look back at, say, Eternal Masters, they put some really expensive rares in there. We had a number of them. Now, this would probably be at Mythic. Maybe it's more realistic to think some of the rare lands could be something along the lines of Glimmer Void or Inkmoth Nexus, for example. I didn't choose those two, but wouldn't be shocked if they showed up either. But anyway, I think it would be nice to see this card, and so many players want copies of it. It just really, really, really needs a reprint. A lot of people were expecting it in Eternal Masters and really hope for it every time a supplemental product comes out now. I think it's time to get this one out there. Celestial Colonnade from World Wake, $61.85. This is a huge card in control decks right now, really big in Modern. But do we see the entire World Wake creature land cycle? I don't know if we do. And let me tell you my thoughts on some of the lands that I chose today, actually. I don't think Wizards likes to go too heavy on lands in the rare spot in these master sets. I think they're happy with maybe 6 or 7 at the most, so usually kind of a half of a cycle of 5, and then maybe 1 or 2 others, I think is where they're comfortable, which I get it. If you put a full cycle of 10 plus any other lands you might want to put in there, you start to open a lot of lands for limited and such, and that could get a little bit awkward. And a lot of these lands are big ticket cards, so they can spread them out over multiple master sets and kind of spread the wealth a little bit. I'm sure that's what they're trying to do. So I don't know if we get all 5 of the creature lands here from World Wake. I hope we get this one, though. Now here's the half cycle I think we might get, actually, and it's the ally color fetch lands. So here's my thought process behind this. I don't think we're going to get the enemy colored ones again because we did get those in Modern Masters 2017. Now, those maybe you could argue need a reprint more than these because these were at least in a standard set not too long ago with cons. So there's still a lot of copies out there. But also, even though a lot of copies were printed, these things are in such high demand that the values are still going up nicely. All of them really, with the exception of Windswept Heath, closing in on the $20 mark. So, yeah, even though it doesn't feel like all that much time has passed, enough time has passed where these cards are definitely going up in value quite a bit. So they would be a welcome inclusion. And also, I think Wizards is thinking back to Modern Masters 2017, how popular the enemy-colored fetch lands were in that set. Why not try to create that magic again with these fetch lands? Now, it won't be the same, and I think Wizards would know that, but it's not bad. It would not be a bad inclusion. Now, land-wise, one thing I did not include on this list, which maybe some people are thinking about, are filter lands. I don't think they're going to put those in a master set. They could use a reprint. It would be great to see them out there because they are a little overpriced, many of them. But I feel like they might hold on to those for a potential return to Lorwyn/Shadowmoor at some point because they are filtering now through different themes quick with the way they do sets currently. So even if they don't have a current plan to go back there, they may hold on to those because they know at some point they're probably going back there, right? Same thing with the Shocklands for Ravnica. I think we'll see those again when we return to Ravnica, which might not be too far off if you're kind of following the lore and the story there. So I don't think we see those, but maybe the fetch lands. It's perhaps a possibility, and they would play well with like Crucible. It would give your Crucible something to do, even if you don't try to put like a Strip Mine or Wasteland in here, which maybe shows up, maybe doesn't. But having this is still a nice combo, but feels more fair too at the same time. So maybe you see fetches to kind of play along with Crucible and something like that. Also works well with Brainstorm. Brainstorm gets a lot better if you have fetches. So maybe they show up. I guess we'll see. With that being said, those are 50 cards that I think could show up, that are likely candidates anyway. Some of it may be wishful thinking on my part. I didn't go off the deep end. I mean, I could have gone a lot deeper, like I said, and went for some really high value cards, but I realistically don't know if we're going to see that. So I tried to be as realistic as possible. But let me know in the comments below what cards you want to see in the set, what you're hoping for. But until next time, hey, thanks for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe, and have a great day. Hey, thanks for watching. This video is made possible by the generous support of viewers like you on Patreon. Check out the description below for links to our Patreon page as well as our Amazon affiliate store, where a small percentage of all sales will also help support the channel. Finally, if you haven't had a chance yet to subscribe, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any new videos on Heroes and Legends. Talk to you again soon, and have a great day.